Hello again. If somebody steals your car or breaks into your home, the odds are that the police would be too busy to deal with it by attending the scene. Suppose though that you were in a restaurant or pub and a stranger paid to have a banana delivered to your table. In such a case, they would pull out all the stops to track down the culprit. Just ask Detective Inspector Stuart Hart, head of the safeguarding team at Bromley Police Station, who handled just such a crime and said that it required a painstaking investigation. I give a link in the description to this video to the court case which resulted from an idiotic 20-year-old sending a banana to a young black guy who was also in the pub. For what was really a bit of tomfoolery, this youngster was arrested after a long police investigation and charged with a racially aggravated public order offence. The difficulty here is for most people that having their home broken into is a far more serious and upsetting crime than having a waiter bring you a banana. What about the people who made offensive remarks online about the black footballers who missed the penalty kicks at Wembley? What's that you say? That was nearly a month ago and it was only stuff on Twitter and Facebook after all. You underestimate the determination of our police when it comes to dealing with a case like this, which does not entail any risk and consists chiefly of ringing up social media companies and bullying them into giving details of people's accounts. There have been a dozen arrests so far, and as Chief Constable Mark Roberts, who has the grand title of National Police Chiefs Council Footballing Police Lead, says, the investigation is proceeding at pace and a vast amount of work went into identifying the 11 people arrested so far. Mind you, they've hardly scratched the surface of this big case so far. 123 of the social media accounts the police have tracked down turned out to be in foreign countries, and the British police are contacting various police forces abroad to pass on the details which they have so far uncovered. There's still another 50 Twitter accounts to look through though. It's a tough life being National Police Chiefs Council Footballing Police Lead, but I suppose somebody has to do it. Still, even that nonsense pales into insignificance compared with the case in Yorkshire. This involved a transsexual priest. Once again, I point out that it's none of my affair what gender people identify as or what they call themselves. For some people, though, it matters greatly. There are two ministers in the United Reformed Church, that's what they call the Congregationalists these days, by the way. They're called the Reverend Alex Clare Young and his partner, Joe. Joe is a woman and Alex has transitioned from female to male. Well, so it doesn't bother me, but there. They appeared in a Church of England video talking about their lives and explaining why they think transsexualism is essentially a good thing. It may not bother me, this kind of thing, but of course some Christians and Muslims get very worked up over it. An evangelical type called Ben John said, and I quote, "In reality, if transgenderism is a false ideology, which it is, then what we're actually seeing here is a lesbian couple. This man isn't really a man, she's a woman. So whilst the Church of England might say, yes, we haven't changed the doctrine of marriage, they have changed the practice. Not only that, they were both clergy. These weren't lay people. These were leaders in the church. Should we be ordaining transgender people? Is this the message we want to be sending?" Right, obviously this guy is a very conservative evangelical Christian. I don't happen to agree with his view, but I can't really say why somebody should be forbidden from expressing that particular viewpoint. It's in keeping with Bible theology. It may not be what I think, but a lot of people do think that way, especially religious people. I don't see a problem. However, the man concerned was reported to the police, and what I've just read to you was investigated as a hate crime. The minister who had changed sects said, "I felt that these comments were leading to personal harm to myself. It made me feel very unsafe." Idiot. There are common threads in these three cases which I've talked about. In the first place, there are trifling matters that most of us feel are just wasting the time of the police when they could be out and about doing more important things, like catching murderers and bank robbers and rapists, for instance. If the police would only make painstaking investigations and put in vast amounts of work to solving real crimes, I think most of us would applaud them. Secondly, these are all supposed crimes which can be looked into just by fooling around on a computer, rather than patrolling the streets or coming up against potentially aggressive or dangerous suspects. I mean, let's face it, questioning an evangelical Christian is not going to be hazardous, is it? Finally, this is all stuff which is being done for political reasons, rather than having anything to do with helping the public or tackling crime and disorder. It's done for show. The next time that you ring the police because some harm has befallen you or your property, you will, I am sure, understand if they are so busy that the best they can do is give you a crime number for the insurance. They really do seem to have a lot of this kind of offence to handle these days, and I suppose we can't expect them to be doing everything.